that first 9 months in Paris was very tough. I went there alone. I didn't have family support. I didn't speak the language, and I was close to saying, "This is not for me." We need talent, and we need forward-thinking people, and we need people that are looking to support the big picture. Just remember, in any situation, it's no failure, just feedback.
This is the Pass the Pitch podcast with Anna Frazzetto. Each episode, we sit down with bold thinkers and industry trailblazers to uncover the strategies, stories, and sparks of inspiration that drive growth and transformation. Let's get started.
Welcome to Pass the Pitch, and today we have Pearl Chu with us. She is the Director of Technical Domains and University Relations, responsible for the strategic development of the global SLB technical community, as well as corporate relations with universities and academia. That's a mouthful, but I also want to share that you have been with SLB for over 35 years, and you've had so many multiple leadership roles, including technology center manager, human resources director. You've had various roles in operations management, R&D, and marketing. And also with your mechanical engineering degree, you've had the opportunity of spending almost half of your time working with positions in Paris, Beijing, Kuala Lumpur, which I think international experience and a technical background like yours really results in quite a unique blend of expertise and leadership style. Also, Pearl, I want to mention how you were appointed chair of the board for the Greater Houston Women Chamber of Commerce in 2023. And recently you've joined the Global Energy Transition Board as of 2025. So welcome so much for being on the show. And I have to say, I'm exhausted just reading and talking about your background because it's so motivational.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Anna. I'm super excited to talk to you again. We've had many conversations, and it's always great to be able to connect with you.
Yes, yes. And I have to say, the one thing that fascinates me about like every time I do a podcast is understanding a little bit about, origin story, right? Like how do people get started? Because, a common thing is a lot of times when we're talking to like a younger generation, for example, a Gen Z, they see you as the finished product of today, right?
Right.
So they have no idea where you came from, how did you get there? And everybody's got a unique story, which is worth sharing, because I think there's a lot to learn from it. Because a lot of times when you're starting off, I always say high school doesn't prepare you for college and college doesn't prepare you for work, right? It's kind of interesting. You have to figure some of these things out on your own, and you
Mm.
need good mentors in your life to kind of get you started. So let's talk a little bit about your origin story. Maybe you can kind of paint a scene of your earlier years. Who or what shaped your direction? Tell me about a moment that you felt like you almost wanted to quit,
Yeah,
or what kept you in the game.
yeah. So thank you so much. Again, I'm honored to be on your podcast. Um, Starting out kind of at the beginning. In fact, I was talking to a high schooler recently about how I started, and she was asking questions similar, and I was thinking back when I was 17. I grew up in a household. My parents were born in China and immigrated to the US, so I was the first generation born in America, and really grew up in a very Chinese cultural background, which drove me towards, doing well and studying hard and looking for good education and something that could lead to a career that would give financial comfort. It was more about picking the right things, and that's why I picked engineering. I was good in math and science, but for sure, it took me quite some time, going through the paths of high school and then college at Texas A&M and Georgia Tech, and working hard for the sake of doing well, as simple as that. Um, And being grown up in Texas, the oil and gas industry now, our energy industry, was really most of the opportunities. So I think it took me a good decade before I started to be more um, courageous or curious about different things I could do. And I think the biggest moment of change was my first international assignment when I moved to Paris. And I had worked in Texas for 10, 12 years as a mechanical engineer and then different types of roles in Houston. But moving to Paris, joining a part of the organization that I didn't know in a role that I was not familiar with, it was really tough. It was really tough, and it pushed me to in a way that I would have never pushed myself naturally. Never. I mean, I was actually quite risk averse. I would take comfortable, cautious steps as I did more and more. And SLB Schlumberger back then really had a intentional choice when they were pushing people that they thought who could do more. So that first 9 months in Paris was very tough. I went there alone. I didn't have family support. I didn't speak the language, and I was close to saying this is not for me. This was not going to be something fun for me, and I was really worried about failing and not doing well. And it took me a good year to buckle in and start finding people that I could connect with. And I was working in a smart card organization, and they were almost all French at that time. I felt like they didn't like Americans coming into their organization. I didn't know their business. I didn't have any experience in the smart card business. But after that first year, I started seeing where I could bring value, pulling together, consolidating thoughts, communicating those thoughts and strategies and things. And what kept me in was my drive to not fail. It's not the best motivation for sure, but I started realizing fear of failure for me was a driver, and I realized fear should not be the reason you're doing things. And it took me some time then in my 30s and moving on to say, okay, what can I have as a driver that's not fear, and really be more intentional about what I want to do instead of avoiding what I don't want to fail at.
Oh, so Pearl, I can relate 110% to what you're saying because similar upbringing, first generation in this country, come from Italian parents, and fear of failure was my motivating factor when I first started off because there's so much pressure when you're first generation here. I think that you the need to succeed, right? And you need to, and you also have a bigger role in helping your family out, right? Versus it's not just parents helping a child out, it's a child helping the parents out also because of the language barrier. So it took me many years to figure out, like, fear of failure should not be the driving force. It should be wanting to succeed for the purpose of succession, not driven the other way around. But that's an incredible story, and so powerful. What does this industry matter to you? Like, why are you so passionate about being in this space?
Well, you know, I really love all the things that our company does. What drove me to SLB was technology, the innovation that's happening, the diversity of our teams that are driving these solutions that are tough problems. It's a complex situation. And I think what people don't recognize, of course, our industry is been around for a long time. At the very high level, it's bringing many things to our civilization through the energy that we bring. But it's not really that drives me. I think it's more the environment of people, and I see the complexities of this industry that we really need intelligent, innovative technological solutions for very, very complex problems. Um, and the fact that the merging of making sure that we take care of our planet at the same time is going to just make it even more challenging. So this kind of balance between needing energy and decarbonizing the planet and having stuff that's sustainable, I think we need more and more technical STEM scientists, engineers, technical people, which is my job. This is what I'm focused on, and having amazing, diverse points of view to drive those solutions. Um, that's my space, is trying to inspire people that they want to build these amazing solutions to tackle the hardest problems that will support both sides of energy availability and sustainability for the planet.
And at the energy space, is such a remarkable space because it's not just being within the industry, like you're saying. You
Mm.
have the impact on the globe, on the planet, impact also how political climates can impact the direction of, energy and where energy gets funding. So there's a lot of pressure in the energy space to be able to provide the service that everyone is looking for, but then have that moral, ethical, whatever conundrum that you have to deal with, and how do you do it the best way to keep the planet alive? What problem do you think in the industry keeps you up at night? It sounds like we talked a little bit about it, but
That does. And I think if I often lead to the people side is, how do we make sure that we keep attracting great people to work in the industry? How do we make sure that people, I mean, these are big problems, and we need talent, and we need forward-thinking people, and we need people that are looking to support the big picture. Not if you look too tightly and say, okay, we need to close these things down, and there has to be a transition. There's no way we can get to the end goal with just saying, okay, we're going to be naive and say we can shut that down and then start things that are renewable. No, we have to ramp across. So I think it's the people side. It's the people side, and we need more people. And then I go to the next level of granularity. We need not all the same looking type people. We need people who think differently. We have to have people driving dialogue that challenges what is happening, because that's when those sparks of innovation is going to happen, is when we have these different diversity of thought, diversity of that background, diversity of culture, diversity of education, whatever, that make teams really blossom in what they can output. If you have same minded people, you're going to build similar types of solutions. And I don't think we have the time to go through that more natural route. We have to really make step function changes when we build our technologies and things.
such a great point because diversity of thought really can change the world, right? So that's exactly what we need, and change the world quicker rather than going at a stale's pace. So if you could change one rule or a norm in the industry, what would it be? Besides, diverse teams.
I don't know if this is too um, negative approach, but I do think we have a majority culture that has been male dominated, and even Western male dominated, um, that is not well understood. Leadership is still uh, quite similar in this what culture it drives down. Culture is top down often. The leader can drive the culture of an organization, and I don't. I think the way we judge and recognize and promote and feel like people are bringing value are based on these norms that are from this male dominated Western culture, which means it suppresses the potential value that you're getting from people who are not within that group or background or culture. I don't really want to say it's just women, and there's so many lenses of diversity that could be adding value faster, let's say.
Right.
And so, but it's like, a wild dream that the culture, I just feel like we're going slow. We're going slow, and we keep reinforcing that these are the ways to be successful, and those ways to be successful are supported by the majority culture, and that just continues to reinforce that the future leaders will look and sound like that too.
Yeah, and that's such a valid point, and I know it's a little bit of a touchy situation because you try to figure out what's the best way, to approach it. I was just recently in a conversation where we're talking about an executive group, that gets together, and, I wanted to know about, how could I participate in this group? And I find out that there are 12 white, middle-aged men that are the group. So I kind of chuckled a little bit because I was saying, well, doesn't that kind of give you like one perspective only? Like we need to broaden the group so that we can get, who are some of the offshore service providers that we could have on the team? Who can we bring in that we can get that creativity going? But I find a lot of times companies, it's easier not doing that, right? Because when you have too much diversity thought, you can have things slow down
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
you
you can
have
have conflict, you can have disagreements, you can have, yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
And so sometimes
Yeah,
I think that's why it moves so slow is because it's too hard to do it
yeah,
the other
yeah.
way.
Yeah, you have to be conscious of that. You can't change everything at once. It has to be kind of step by step, and change is always hard. Change is always hard. I run this program that governs the technical career progression for 10 plus thousand people who are in our company, and the smallest change is there's change that you have to address at scale. And I learned, maybe the hard way, that you can't change too much, because then the enterprise cannot assimilate it well. Yeah, you have to find things that are practical or pragmatic to be able to make change. So when I say this, there's no solution in this. It's like, how do you find those little steps to, uh, and I feel like we have progressed. I don't want to say 30 years ago is the same as today. For sure, we've progressed, but I must admit I've had kind of eye-opening situations late in my career where I said, "Oh my gosh, we're still quite, young in this change towards true equity and inclusion across our industry anyways, from where I sit."
Well, I think now is a perfect time for me to kind of ask you a little bit about advice you'd give to your younger self. I used to hate when people would ask me that question because my automatic response was, well, just don't make the mistakes that you made when you were younger, right? You should be better. But there's a lot of value in the question because decisions that you would make faster
Yeah.
next time and why. I mean,
Yeah.
there's lots of things that we could talk about. Maybe you could share from your perspective.
The Chinese culture is quite obedient. We're respectful to our parents and our grandparents and our elders, and we do kind of follow their guidance, and I would say that I would my advice to my younger self would be, try more things, try more things. Be a little bit more curious, and not follow just the path that was the safe path, which was, going in engineering. I ended up picking up a French boyfriend, and who turned into my husband when I was working in Paris. So he was one of the reasons why I did not quit when I was in that Paris job, because he turned out to be such an amazing support person. And one thing that's great about him that's so different from me is that he believes in, what you do is you choose what you're passionate about, and that's what you do, even if it's not the safe route. And we have two kids now, they're both teenagers. And when we talk to them about, what do they want to do, and I've got my Chinese culture going, yeah, well, you got to get something that is going to be good in terms of, having options in terms of financial stability and blah blah blah. And he's like, "Oh no, you really need to just understand what you love to do. What you love to do, what you're passionate about, and that will get you what you need eventually, right?" He's an artist. His mom's an artist too. Artists are amazing people, but let's just say it's not the safe route when it comes to financial stability, right? And I'm like, well, I understand that, but what if our kids just love working at McDonald's? I'm not going to be okay with that, right? And he goes, if they love it, it's going to be fine. I'm like, ah. So, I think there's truth to both sides for sure. You want to have options. I think when I was 17, 18, 19, even in my 20s, I would tell myself, try more things. Try more things because you'll try them. And it's not like, oh, I tried that and I didn't like it and that was a mistake. Why did I waste my time on that? Someone kind of flipped my switch on that one saying, no, 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 if you try it and you don't like it, then you know. And then you learn, oh, I don't have to worry about that. And you won't ever regret now I didn't try that. So I would push, try more things, take opportunities, learn as much as you can. People say it all the time. Be curious. I just say, just if an opportunity comes, say yes, try it, try it.
Now, do you think that fear of failure would cause you not to try something?
For
Because
sure.
okay,
For
yeah,
sure.
I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah. I never said so explicitly. This is the first time I'd said this fear of failure story. And it is true. Fear of failure keeps you in your comfort zone, right? It keeps you more in your comfort zone. You're like, I know I'm good at this, so I'm going to go do that. So if you're worried about not doing well or how other people judge you type thing, for sure. Yeah.
Right.
That I'm sure impacted.
So, what skill would you start building 5 years earlier if you had a chance?
Oh, 5 years earlier from whenever, at any
Yeah.
time. Oh, I just more recently, probably this whole story around digital, making sure you understand how to use all these AI tools and things like that. I would have done that way earlier. I would, yeah. And for the time that we're in, people have to understand how they can use these tools. They don't have to be a software developer or in the software domain or discipline. It's everyone can use these tools now. So go at it quick these
Yeah.
days. It's gonna go fast. It's gonna go fast.
Agreed. I think that the longer you stay away from it, the scarier the tools
Yes.
become. And then
Yeah.
that just kind of jeopardizes you. So, what
Yeah.
do you wish someone had told you about failure or feedback when you were younger?
Yeah. I have this comment from someone who told me, and I'll never forget it. Maybe I would have taken it earlier, but they had said, just remember in any situation, it's no failure, just feedback.
Yes.
And it helped me during that time. It's like, okay, that didn't turn out well. What can you learn from it? What can you learn from it, and how do you adapt? In fact, I remember because the failure feeling gets all these emotions going, and self-talk and things like that. And that person told me that in my 30s, I guess, in my late 30s. Maybe I would love to have heard it earlier. Maybe I wouldn't have been ready to hear it, earlier, but um, it's a fantastic motto. And at one point, even later in my career, I was dealing with, a tough, let's just say a tough executive who was unhappy with the situation around work that I had done, let's just say. And it was very difficult meeting. And afterwards, I was talking to my management, they're saying, don't worry about that. That's not about you personally. But it's hard to not take things personally when it's
Of
around your
course.
work. And I remember struggling for days, maybe up to a week, saying, couldn't get it out of my head. I was a man, that executive was not happy with this. And I thought after that week, I said, man, I was not at my best during that week of struggle. I said, okay, next time, because there's going to be a next time, something's going to happen. I'm going to give myself 2 days to ruminate and be upset about it and then get over it. And then after that, I'm going to take 1 day. And after that, I'll give myself a few hours. And that was like a intentional, okay, I'm going to improve on that. That was a bad situation. What do I learn from it? And then how do I react in a better way that will step me out of it quicker? And I've told that story many times. It's something to be said about intentional improvement on your reactions following a difficult situation.
If you had to put a sentence to your career, how would you want it to read?
I would say, that I had a career transitioning from a technical engineering through multiple experiences that helped drive great enterprise level strategic outcomes for people and people development.
Wow, that's great. And I mean, seriously, at 35, first of all, I'd be nervous to say I have 35 years experience just because I'd be like, oh my God, 35. But we're probably both in the same ballpark, and you've accomplished so much.
Well, thanks. I this past 5 years in my current role, I really love it. I really love it. And my husband was helping me as I was writing something for an introduction, and he said, I feel like your current role is this lucky fusion of all your past experiences that got you here. And it's kind of true. That's a better sentence actually than what I just said. But yeah, I don't think I would be in this position if I hadn't gone through some of those crazy challenges and opportunities that SLB gave me that were totally out of the box. And but it was done intentionally, so I'm grateful. I'm grateful that the organization offered that stuff to me.
That's great. So do you have any practices that you use on hard days? Like, is it meditation? Do you do anything that kind of helps you get back the focus and on track?
Yeah, I do um do yoga at home. That helps me sometimes, either when I'm feeling mentally or physically just kind of stiff or something. I love yoga with Adrienne on YouTube. Anyone who tries to do yoga, she's outstanding on TV. Someone recommended me to her a long time ago. She's from Austin, Texas, and she's just great. So I do yoga. I jog a bit. It does help me to kind of just have a little bit of exercise, but I find, if I really have hard days, I find that I have a handful of people that I really go talk to. People talk a lot about mental health now and connections and loneliness and social relationships being. I believe in it. There's my husband. I have a couple of really close friends that I will talk to, and they will be the people that help me calibrate and say, this is probably not, catastrophic what's going on. So yeah, it's really talking to people that I love and trust.
I love that. That's great. Okay, so this is the fun part, Pearl. I'm here to surprise you. We are going to have a lightning round of a few questions and just kind of say what comes to mind. First job on your resume.
First job on my resume
Yeah.
was a summer internship for Arco. It was called Arco Oil and Gas back then in Midland, Texas. I was a roustabout.
Oh my goodness, that's great. Well, that's a great story. I mean, that could be a podcast all onto itself. Okay. Most overrated buzzword in our industry.
I hear this a lot right now is I use it myself, but I think there's a lot of people saying intentional right now. You have to intentionally do this and you have to intentionally do that. And it's true, but I do hear it a lot. And I think we maybe overuse it.
Right. That's a good point. Subject line you open at 2 a.m. because it grabs your attention.
Oh man, I really try to not look at my emails at 2 a.m., but it it probably wouldn't be a subject line, and this is maybe my Chinese obedience in me, but anything coming from the executive level in SLV, it's from the person. It's not the subject line. I don't care about the subject line. It's if someone is sending me something from the executive team in SLV, I'm opening it right away.
I agree. I'm with you 100%. Favorite meeting snack?
Oh, cheddar cheese flavored popcorn.
Oh, yum. That sounds good.
Love
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Yes. All right. And now this is my favorite. What is your walk-on song?
I would probably pick something that's more about me than more about the message. Um, as I said, I have a lot of French stuff going on at home. In fact, we speak French at home. Our
Oh,
couple's
nice.
language is French primarily. So I have this artist that I love. His name is Stromae. He is French and he does a lot of great things. And one of the songs I love from him and it's nice and peppy and fun is called Alors on danse. And so it's kind of like saying, yes, let's go dance. And I would probably use that one for fun.
All right, that is unique and that is a great one. Pearl, I have to say thank you so much. This has been fantastic. I could talk to you any day, every day. So thank you again for being.
Yeah, it's so fun. We've done this a couple of times. I really love talking with you too. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Pass the Pitch podcast with Anna Frazzetto. Don't forget to subscribe and share. Our next episode is a two-parter. We talk to Adrian Sanchez and Dylan Swami on how two people can do the same job in very different ways. See you then.